Namaste, friends. Welcome back to this interesting episode. All of you who have been involved in any overseas investment projects or investment must have surely heard of the term sovereign guarantee. This is usually quoted in conversations when the investment planning is being done. Now, what is this animal sovereign guarantee and what are the associated issues? I'm going to tell you in next few minutes. You know, just like in case of personal or business loans, the credit rating of a country is equally important for any funding or business investment in that country. If credit rating is adequate, then funding will no doubt be available. But what happens when the country is emerging and not enough indicators are available for it to be graded as fit for investment? Such situation often arises due to extra country and sovereign risks assigned to that country. While the projects may be technically feasible, commercially viable, but if there are not enough supporting indicators about country and sovereign risk sustenance, then the financial institutions may not come forward to support the funding of their projects. The country and sovereign risks are somewhat closely related concepts, while the country risk is based on three indicators, that is, the payment history of that country, payment of all their internal and external obligations, and how's their economy doing, what are their financial policies and fiscal ecosystem. The status of sovereign risk as per S&P refers to the capacity and willingness of a government to service its debt in accordance with the agreed terms. Now mark the term willingness to pay. So while the term country risk is broader, the sovereign risk is specific. To mitigate these risks, there are various formats, provisions, instruments, so as to make infrastructure projects bankable and attractive to private investors. The government in riskier countries often provide sovereign guarantees or government support agreements. But in case of a weak economy, an important role may be played by multilateral development banks like the World Bank, the ADB, and Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency (MIGA) by supporting the credibility of the country. These MDBs can offer risk mitigation through credit enhancement products and thereby make an efficient, targeted form of intervention. They can lower risks to investment opportunities in difficult sovereign environments so that projects become attractive for the risk averse investor and also crowd in private capital to finance infrastructure development in such developing countries. Friends, I recently attended the third Nepal Investment Summit, the plenary session chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister of Nepal. Here it goes.
To Dr. Bana. So for any PPP investment, it's important to assure investors that their investment is going to be protected, obviously. One of the best ways to do that may be through sovereign. Could you please talk a little bit about that and how they've been handled in other countries?
Okay. I will quickly touch upon that. Firstly, why do we need guarantee? Because like in our day-to-day dealings, when we undertake certain things, when we put our money, we want the expected return. And in this case, in case of infrastructure projects, it's not happening tomorrow, as my fellow panelists have said. These are long-term contracts going 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. So an investor, particularly when the money is coming from outside a country, they look at assurances in terms of their money providing them the return of investment which is expected, and also protections. Now, there are two types of risks which primarily appear similar, that is country risk and the sovereign risk. The country risk is nothing but the payment history, how a country has been paying and how is their economy and finances going on. Whereas S&P defines sovereign risks as their capacity to pay and the willingness to pay, right? So accordingly the ratings are there. And in this part of the world, many of the international creditors, and as ADB says, the risk profile is not so investor friendly. So what is to be done in that case? The investors, not only the external investors, but domestic investors also seek guarantees. And those guarantees could be the sovereign guarantee in form of state support. That is first option. That is, as the project is offered, the government assists and takes part in land acquisition, in taking over part of the transaction in terms of traffic or other risks, in terms of risks repayment, that is availability based or minimum traffic uh, assurance. So those are the kind of things where the government, when they take part, and also assuring that assets will not be nationalized or whatever till the time the debts are not completed, and all those policy processes are there. Then there may be a situation that the government, no matter what guarantees they give, they are not in a situation to assure because their ratings themselves, sovereign ratings, are less. In those cases, multilateral development banks come in. They can come in and they can add to the credibility of the government and sign a multilateral contract. Whereas the state government, that is the national government, and multilateral development bank like World Bank, ADB, AIB, or MIGA, MIGA, they can be party to that agreement, and the department or the corporation, the grantor of the project, and the project promoters. Together, this combination can be a worthwhile combination to have, ensuring that yes, the financial close can take place, the money can come in, and debtors and lenders can be assured that yes, the money will be returned and the profits, whatever is expected, can also be earned. So the sovereign guarantees are nothing but assurance to not only to investors but also to public that yes, when the asset is created, it will also perform to its life, and the economic activity which is expected will happen. That's all.
To Dr. Naresh Bana, Chairperson of South Asia Chapter, WAP, and expert in PPP of the Government of India. And to Ms. with the distinguished.
With that, we come to the end of today's episode. I'm sure it was useful. For more on PPP and infrastructure, keep viewing, subscribe to my channel, and if you liked it, press the like button. Thank you very much. Namaste and have a nice day.